Hey, my friend, so the season's finally over. Can you believe it? Honestly, I don't even want to think about reliving this nightmare for at least another 5 years. A 7-10 recorded stings and losing Dak Prescott in Week 9? That was just the beginning of the spiral. From there, we had to rely on backups like Cooper Rush and Trey Lance. It's tough to win games when your roster feels like a revolving door of injuries, right? Let's not even get started on the schedule. It was brutal, man. Week after week, facing top teams, it felt like the football gods were just testing our patience. And patience, well, we ran out of that around midseason, didn't we? Sundays became more about surviving than actually enjoying the game, but hey, we're here now. The off-season is finally upon us, and I don't know about you, but my Sundays just got a whole lot less stressful. No more yelling at the TV or watching games that feel more like torture than entertainment. Before we move on, I want to hear from you. How are you feeling now that it's all over? Relieved? Frustrated? Maybe both? Let me know in the comments below. In fact, here's a question for you. If you could change just one thing about this season, what would it be? It's hard not to think about that game-ending touchdown from Terry McLaurin, though. A tough loss, but at least the fight was there. They didn't give up, even if the result didn't go our way. But hey, maybe there's a silver lining, better draft position, right? Alright, let's talk about what really went wrong this season, the offense. Let's be real here, my friend, it was a mess. No explosion, no efficiency, and way too much reliance on Brandon Aubrey. I mean, how often were we settling for field goals because the play calling just couldn't get us into the end zone? And speaking of play calling, Mike McCarthy's version of the West Coast offense? It's outdated, plain and simple. Defenses have figured it out. The curl routes, the hitches, it's like watching a VHS tape in a world of streaming services. If McCarthy stays, something's gotta give. A true offensive coordinator is a must. Brian Schottenheimer? He's just a placeholder, not the solution. Now, let's not forget the running game or lack thereof. Rico Dowdle stepped up this season, sure, but to rushing touchdowns all year, that's not cutting it. He's solid, but he's not the kind of back you rely on week in and week out, especially in the red zone. And let's not even get started on bringing Zeke back. That was desperation, plain and simple. And Jake Ferguson, man, I wanted to believe in him, but the penalties, the health issues, he's just not reliable anymore. Luke Schoonmaker is a good blocker, but as a starter, not a chance. We need a tight end who can be a real threat, someone who can make defenses sweat. Here's a question for you. If you could only fix one position this offseason, running back, tight end, or offensive coordinator, what would it be? Vote in the comments below. The bottom line is, this offense needs a complete overhaul. We need weapons. We need creativity. And most of all, we need a play caller who can adapt to today's game. Alright, let's switch gears and talk defense. Because if there's one bright spot this season, it's how the defense showed up, especially in the second half of the year. Once most of the injured players returned, they adjusted beautifully to Mike Zimmer's system. You saw it, right? The energy, the pressure, it was one of the few things keeping us in games. Micah Parsons, absolute game changer, no question. And the front office needs to do whatever it takes to lock him down for the long term. Same goes for Jordan Lewis and Osa Odigizua. These guys are critical pieces. Losing them would be a massive setback, and I don't think any of us can stomach another defensive rebuild, but it's not all perfect. The defense bailed us out more times than we deserved, especially with an offense that couldn't keep up. Imagine what they could do if the offense actually gave them some breathing room. So here's my question to you. If the Cowboys can only prioritize one defensive player for a new deal, Micah Parsons, Jordan Lewis, or Osa Odigizua, who's your pick? Let me know in the comments, or better yet, let's make it a poll. The defense did its part, and with a few tweaks, they could be elite. But to complement that, we need to address the glaring issues on the offensive line. Let's face it, without protection and consistency up front, it's hard to do anything on either side of the ball. Now let's tackle the offensive line because, my friend, this group is the foundation of everything, and right now, it's shaky at best. Sure, there are some bright spots. Tyler Smith, he's a stud, no question. Cooper Beebe, promising, and Brock Hoffman? Solid enough, but is he really starter material? That's up for debate, but then there's Terrence Steele. Man, I hate to say it, but he's gotta go. How many times did he get beat this season? It's painful to watch. A liability like that on the line hurts everything running game, passing game, you name it. We need to find a replacement, and we need to do it fast. The thing is, it's not just about replacing weak links. Depth is key, one injury, and the whole line falls apart. You saw it this season shuffling players around, trying to patch holes. It just doesn't work. We need reinforcements, and we need them now. So here's a question for you. If you could upgrade one spot on the offensive line, where would you start? Left tackle, center, or right tackle? Drop your thoughts in the comments, or cast your vote in our poll. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, why focus so much on the line when we've got skill positions that need help? And I get that. But think about this. If the line can't protect the quarterback or create running lanes, does it even matter who's taking the snaps or carrying the ball? The offensive line is where it all begins. Fixing this unit could unlock the potential we've been waiting to see from the offense. And trust me, with the weapons we already have, that could change everything. Alright, let's talk about the missing piece of the puzzle: playmakers. Because let's be honest, without explosive players, this offense is going nowhere fast. CeeDee Lamb, he's a certified star, no doubt. But who's his running mate? Jalen Tolbert showed flashes, sure, but he's a WR3 at best. We need a solid number 2 receiver to take some pressure off Lamb and stretch the field. Someone who can keep defenses honest and give our quarterback another reliable target. Speaking of quarterbacks, let's touch on the signal caller situation. After losing Doc, we saw Cooper Rush and Trey Lance step in. While they had their moments, neither proved to be the answer long term. If Doc's going to remain the guy, he needs a strong supporting cast. And if he's not, we better have a plan in place for whoever's next. Then there's the running game. Rico Dowdle, serviceable, but not a game changer. To touchdowns all season, that's not going to cut it. We need a dynamic back, someone who can hit home runs and be a threat every time they touch the ball. Ashton Jeanty comes to mind, a playmaker who could electrify this offense. What do you think? Would you take Jeanty in the draft if he's available? Let me know in the comments. And let's not forget tight ends. Jake Ferguson? Man, I wanted him to be the guy, but penalties and injuries have made it hard to trust him. Luke Schoonmaker is a decent blocker, but we need a dual threat tight-ended guy who can dominate in the red zone and open up the middle of the field. Here's a quick poll for you. If the Cowboys could only add one playmaker this offseason, should it be a WR2, a dynamic RB, or an elite tight end? Cast your vote below. It's clear we've got the framework for success, but without these key pieces, we're just spinning our wheels. Now, let's bring it all together and talk about the moves we need to make to truly rebuild this team.